podcast. My name is Marlene and I'm a maker based in the middle of Germany. I knit, I sew and spin my own yarn, and I do occasionally go on yarny travels to see fiber friends all over the world. And I like to vlog that. And yeah, I do usually put up about 2 videos a month. Generally, this weekend has been my catch up on all things Marlene Knits, YouTube, everything. I came back from Rhinebeck about a week ago. It's 6 days. And I had 1 day of recovery. I arrived like 7 o'clock in the morning, had a really bad day of jet lag and felt a bit hungover emotionally from having such a great time on my travels, but then also obviously being so happy to be back home, but then having to take care of laundry and almost immediately going back to work had left me feeling a bit hungover, I think is the right word, like the post Rhinebeck blues. So that was, like I said, about a week ago. And I have just today uploaded my recap of Rhinebeck, my vlog, and then kind of trying to give it a bit of a frame with sitting down and filming yesterday or 2 days ago. And then I edited it yesterday. Vlogs always take such a huge amount of my time, but I love looking back at them. So to me, they're worth it. And I obviously wanted to kind of capture my experience again. I didn't do any voiceovers as I thought I would, but I thought the pictures were kind of speaking for themselves, and I was putting in quite a bit of kind of information through just like text. So I hope you guys enjoyed that one. This one, like I said, will have come out this weekend, and this podcast episode, this regular podcast episode with an additional Rhinebeck haul part, will then come out about a week. So I'm kind of trying to work a bit in advance because going back again to work tomorrow, and have been trying to chug through all the things that I needed to do this weekend. And then I'm going to be away on my yarny travel with my Easter sisterhood. We're going to see another German city and mostly just hanging out and knitting for 3 days, which will just be amazing. I mean, it's almost 4 days, but 2 of those days are travel days, so I'll say 3 days with my friends Joanna, Kira and Julia, and I'm just majorly excited about that. And the week after will already be Knit Fest in Zurich. So a lot of things that are coming up. I'm just hoping I'm gonna stay healthy through and for all of them. So the first thing that I want to share about today is my finished object and what I'm wearing today, and that's the book club cardigan by Sari Nordland, my kind of Rhinebeck sweater for 2025, which I did manage to finish about 4 days before, so it had a lot of time to dry, which was nice. I knit this in Solje by Hillesvåg and a pure mohair, which is called Extraklasse by Atelier Citron. That's a German yarn brand. I think Hillesvåg is from Norway, most likely. So that was a rusty sport weight yarn with a very soft, just a pure mohair lace. As I mentioned, I kind of zoned in on this and then finished it within a very short amount of time. I was pretty much monogamously knitting on this. I had wanted to cast this on pretty much ever since it got released, but it took me some time. It took me some time to find the right yarn. I initially had some hand-dyed suri for this, which I then destashed because I didn't want a hand-dyed look in this particular cardigan. So that's what I did, and then I was looking for a fitting lace weight, and this yarn we had on a huge sale at the yarn shop because we're selling the rest of the stock that we had because we weren't carrying it anymore. I think because they had a really limited color range, which is sometimes a reason that yarns get discontinued from our side. we don't sell them anymore at the shop. And so when I finally found the kind of combination of yarn that I then ended up using, I did cast this on and put it like to the side for 3 months at least, while I only had about this much done. Probably because it was like the midst of summer and I wasn't wanting to knit on this. I also realized and recognized that this would take me quite a bit of focused knitting time, and just like being able to sit down and comprehend and take my time for the charts, for the pattern. Initially, I didn't feel like I had that in me. I did a couple of gauge swatches. I realized I had to go up to a 4.5 millimeter size. So I think that's a whole needle size up. I did use 4 millimeter for all my cuffs, and I did Italian bind offs on all of them. I used a 3.5 millimeter needle for my button band, and that was also my first ever double knitted button band, if you can believe it. And the only thing that I would change about this whole pattern, really, I'm currently knitting on another project that will eventually get a double knitted button band, and I'm kind of thinking about doing it on that project first, because I've heard people mention that the description of how to knit it and the potentially added like extra techniques in that pattern that I'm doing, and I'll talk about in a minute, are really good. And I've had my troubles with knitting this double knitted button band on this one, so potentially I might redo it in the future. I'll try and stand up quickly to show you why that is when I've finished mentioning all the other things. So again, back to my cuffs. I did 9 rows of that for body and sleeves, and I'm quite happy with generally the length of the cardigan in and of itself. I picked up around 90 to 95% of the stitches, which is one of the reasons why I'm thinking about potentially knitting it again. I really didn't want the button band to look like fizzled out, like drooping in the front, which is something I've seen can happen. And so that's why I wanted to go down needle size and pick up a couple less stitches so that wouldn't happen. But then I had picked up a couple less than that even. And I saw some scrunching. I'm actually going to try and show you like this. So this part was, it didn't look as relaxed as my button band on this side. So if I need to go back, if I need to redo it or want to redo it, eventually it'll only be because I should have picked up maybe 5, 6, 7 more stitches in this part here. I later on learned that you're able to kind of calculate the amounts of stitches that you need to pick up by your row gauge. Is something that one of my customers at the yarn shop at our like local knit night on Wednesdays has told me. Luna, thank you for this tip. She's always very knowledgeable, and she had knit this, so every time I went to the shop like leading up to Rhinebeck, and she was there on Wednesdays, like I was there because I was working, she came in for the knit night. We're chatting about this pattern and its faults and its shortcomings and the things we liked about it and the yarn that we'd used. And so that was really nice to be able to chat with someone in person, which I think is like one of the best things about going to like your local yarn shop for knit nights. And so she gave me this tip about being able to calculate the amounts of stitches you're supposed to pick up by knowing your row gauge, which I think mine was maybe slightly off. I was more so very much focused on getting my my gauge in the stitches, which I did. And so I also additionally only wanted to do 3 buttons. As you can see, I don't particularly love in the pattern that the one that she did up here was kind of up here. Even now, this one is kind of a bit high up for me. And this is another thing that I would change if I would redo the button band, is to put all of my buttons about 1 centimeter or 2 towards like downwards. This is because also I have about 6 centimeters here below my lowest button. Those buttons, by the way, before I forget, are from Holland Hoof Farms, which I was able to see again this year at Rhinebeck. I had gotten some similar quilty buttons at Holland Hoof last year at Rhinebeck, and I wanted to put them on this cardigan, so this was my whole plan to begin with. But they had a couple more colors in them, and so they felt a bit too busy with the added cables. I thought that they would go better with like a kind of stockinette cardigan, which is why I sold them to a friend who is doing a stockinette cardigan in a similar-ish color, a bit darker. And now she's excited to use them, and I ordered a couple more prior to going to Rhinebeck again. And that was so fun because the people at Holland Hoof, like the booth at Rhinebeck, they recognized me and were like, oh, didn't you like order buttons to Germany? That was so crazy and fun, and thank you. And I got another couple of buttons for another project, which I'll show you later on in the video. So huge Holland Hoof fan over here. So yeah, a couple of things I modified. I also didn't want it to be too thick. I thought that the button band was a bit too thick for my liking in the pattern, and so I did only do 12 stitches, which then also meant that I had to change the placement of the buttonholes, and I used a couple of tutorials that I'll have linked in my Ravelry to get this whole thing started, because for new techniques, I prefer watching videos in addition to written out instructions, and so that's actually what helped me. I did use about the meterage that the pattern called for, like plus minus 100 meters. I think I didn't have the exact meterage for both the yarns, which sounds crazy, but then also I only weighed my leftovers, and I didn't initially weigh the whole skein. So it could be the case that for my sword weight yarn, I had only put in like X amount of skeins, and it could be that they all had a bit more grams on them. So not just 100 grams, but like 110 grams. And then with what was left over, I only calculated what that would technically mean I had used, but that could mean that I had used a bit more. So I'm saying plus minus 100 meters, but that's still within the range, like just about 100 meters more than the pattern called for, not such a significant amount that a couple of people, or quite a lot of people actually, have found with this pattern. I also do have quite a bit of yarn left over, more because I did buy more than enough, because I bought more than enough because I had heard so many people say that their yarn wasn't close to enough when they knit this cardigan. So I was kind of pre-warned about a couple of things that went wrong for some people. And so yeah, the last thing I want to tell you about this pattern before I stand up and show you the button band, and we can maybe chat about if you would reknit it or if you would just leave it. I wanted to wear it first. Obviously I didn't have the time to redo it, and also not the knowledge. Like I said, maybe I'll gain some more experience through my next cardigan project, and then I'll have more experience reknitting it. But yeah, I did omit the kind of stray leg in the beginning part of the pattern. In the back, the cables don't line up, and because I was knitting, like I was wearing this at Rhinebeck, I got stopped by one or two people asking me how I did it, and honestly, I didn't want to have to do any like huge modifications, like really difficult stuff. So I just omitted the stray leg that is created in the section between row 19 and 25. I thought it's okay to say it like this because only people who've bought the pattern will know what I'm referencing. There is one cable, kind of the beginning of the cable, and I completely omitted that, and I just purled the right side and I knit the wrong side, so to kind of create the pattern that is around the cables generally. And I thought that worked out quite well. I'm going to post so many pictures here because my friend Chelsea took many beautiful pictures of me in this cardigan at Yale, actually, because I was wearing it on that day too. Obviously I had to pack smart And I packed like 3 outfits or 3 different knitwear pieces for this week of traveling, and then rotated kind of through them and kind of created a couple of outfits which work quite well. So let me take a sip of my tea and then I'll show you the front, and you can definitely let me know what you're thinking. Maybe some people will be like, well, it's definitely not that noticeable, and other people will be like, well, if it were me, I would redo it. So I just want to know what you're thinking. If you've got any more questions about this or anything like that, let me know in the comment section down below, or send me a message on Ravelry or Instagram, and I'll try to be as helpful as I can be. I'm not sure if you're able to tell, but this side is kind of scrunched up a tiny bit. I try to get this like problem solved by blocking pretty aggressively, and I would say that the general pattern really benefited from the blocking experience, and it got like very, very nice. Like it feels really nice. It doesn't pill at all. The mohair is pretty nice. It's a bit more scratchy while knitting it up, but then it like really molds together with the more rustic sport weight, which I like. And yeah, this problem though did not completely go away through the blocking experience, just because I didn't pick enough stitches on that part. So it's not terrible. I know I'm being a pretty perfectionist about this, and I don't mind too much, but seeing as this is like a forever piece in my wardrobe, like I love it so much, it's so perfect to me, I'm thinking it might benefit from taking that extra step, like adding in, I don't know, 4 to 6 more hours and redoing it eventually, because I have the yarn left anyway. So yeah, we'll see. I have another finished object that I've had done for actually quite a while, which is technically it's a birthday present for my partner, but he's already seen it because I cannot keep a secret from him. The moment or the day I finished it, I was like, you need to try it on. And he knew what was coming because I asked him to pick out the color. This was leftover finool by Rhinebeck yarn from my Lunenburg pullover by Amy Christoffers. This is the Bajou beanie, and like I said, finool. I used the 3.25mm needle. The pattern calls for 3.5. I did this because I wanted to be quite tight engaged. I had counted stitches on my first version that I did for him like 4 years ago in the same yarn, which he loves and wears quite a bit because it's very breathable and a bit rustic, so it keeps its shape really well, but it's, like I said, breathable, but really warming as well. And that one had a number of stitches that wasn't an option in the pattern, so it was less than the first size, and I probably had used 3.5mm needles though, so I was a bit yeah, I didn't know really what to do. So I cast on for size 1, which was the closest in size to the one I had made from previously, but I didn't know the needle size I had used for that one, and that turned out a bit too small, so I tried to put it on him and he's like, oh. I was like, be honest, does that hurt? It shouldn't hurt to put on a hat. So yeah, didn't want to give him a headache. I cast on the second size. So technically I wanted to knit size 2 on a 3.25mm needle, but when I came to doing the decreases, I counted my stitches and I had about, I don't know, like 8 stitches too many, or 10 or 12 stitches too many. So I had in between a 2 and a 3 size for the pattern, which was weird. So that must have happened by accident. The pattern was correct anyways though, because like it's a 2x2 pattern. I would have noticed if there was something wrong. So it must have been a number that would be divisible by 4, but not by 8, I don't think. Is that an option? Maybe that's 12, right? Because 12 is divisible by 4, which is 3, but not divisible by 8, because that would be something like 1 point something, right? I am not great with maths, but I do it quite a bit for knitting, especially when I help people pick yarn at the yarn shop. So I think that must have been the problem. Don't quote me on that though. And so the decreases are like slightly bit wonky. I don't actually think you're able to tell. I think it's not perfectly like divided by 4, but I just made it so that they would look nice. Try to follow the pattern as closely as I could at that point, because like I said, I had messed up the stitch count, but he won't mind. He won't be looking at his own head and go like, well, is this correct? So yeah, I'll try and get him to put this on later for the first time, like actually wear it and take pictures. I've already asked him if we could do that today, so I can put in a couple of pictures in the blog, in the podcast. So yeah, if there's any pictures here, we will have been successful in that, in taking pictures. And yeah, it actually fits my cardigan quite well in color, and I like that. I can't wear these kinds of beanies. My hair just looks big with like wearing hats anyways, because it is big and like there's a lot of it. So I don't know, I don't think they suit me as well as they do on him, but these kinds of fisherman hats suit him so well. Obviously I think so, but yeah, I'm so happy that he has a second version. Then the next finished object that I've been holding on for a while, because I've not filmed the podcast in a while, I feel like, is a finished hand spun skein. And this is going to be a gift for a friend. Not going to go into any more details, so potentially if the friend's watching, they cannot hopefully tell that it's for them. This is a Blueface Leicester top, or it was a top, now it's a sport weight yarn. And this was by the brand Das Mondschaf, which is a German hand dyer for yarn and fiber. I still have 2 more tops left, but I'll try and, whenever I have shown you all of the things I got at Rhinebeck, kind of package up the things. I got a couple more zipper bags to keep them from getting dusty or potentially attracting any kind of flying enemies, which we don't love and want to get or keep out of our yarn and fiber, obviously. I'm going to do a close-up and then tell you more about this skein. So, prior to washing, I was getting 130 grams per 359 meters, I think. So this is a sport weight yarn, but like I said, pre-blocking and washing and thwacking and drying. So I generally never take meterage after that. I would probably do that if I were to make like a sweater spin, but even then I would probably try and just make enough. Or like calculate how much I'm losing. I can actually do that quite well, which is like a hack that I wanted to tell you about. I generally I have a Xiaogu winder. I don't know the word for it exactly. I'll put the word, like I'll insert the word here if I can come up with it, or I'll just Google it. But yeah, I have like a yarn winder from Knit Pro, and then I have the thing that I can generally put like a skein of yarn onto and then wind it off. I also use this for skeining or hanging, better so. I also use this to make hangs out of my hand spun after plying. So I put it on the outermost setting, like the biggest setting, which is 155 centimeters. And when I block this and like it's dry, it's generally not fitting on that setting anymore, so I do need to go smaller with my, I think it's a winder. It's not the winder, but what's the word? A Swift. See? I knew I could come up with it. So it has different settings, and I usually need to go down at least one setting or two, which then is, I don't know the exact centimeter, but it's like 130 maybe. So I know by how much percent my hank has shrunken, like my meterage has shrunken down to. Then I can weigh it as well after it's been like completely dry, because it can hold moisture for a long time, which then also will add to the weight, obviously. I did spin this. I did spin this in a really easy way. It was just an in-between spinning project, but it did turn out beautifully. I just spun 2 singles and just end to end. So I had the braid, I ripped it apart, I pre-drafted it, opened it up so it's easier for spinning. I did a short forward, and I then, if I did spin them like this, the singles, I then plied them like this. So I took the end of one of my singles and the beginning of the other one, and then plied them together, and they made a beautifully like chain, not chain, like a barber poling kind of yarn that I wanted to get. I have a couple of sections that are more so pinkish or more so greenish, but then also they kind of mingle and mix, which I wanted to achieve. I did also add a tiny bit of yellow Polworth that I had left on a bobbin, because I had a bit more left over of one of the singles on one of the bobbins, and I just wanted to use it all up. And so I added it in here, and I think it looks like perfect. And yeah, this is going to be a gift. I would love to just hold on to it and put it on my yarn wall, but I just imagined that I'll be spinning for many more years to come, I assume. And I have a bit of spinning fiber in stash, which maybe is more so yarn that I would also knit with. Not that I would knit with this, but it's generally not really colors I would wear in this combination, I don't think, at least. And I'm thinking of a friend who this would perfectly fit to. So yeah, I want to gift more of my hand spun yarn, because you can't forget, spinning takes so much time, and then it does add to stash. So it's opposite to knitting, where it also takes a lot of time, but then at least I get yarn out of stash, which helps with my stash goals. Not that that's the most important thing, but since I do still have my stash goal, and I did do a bit of shopping at Rhinebeck, yeah, gifting yarn in any capacity is a good idea, but especially hand spun. I think it's just a very, very cute gift as well. I think people who know how much goes into it will appreciate it quite a bit. So yeah, that's all my finished objects, and let's quickly move on to whips. My biggest whip and like my main whip of the last couple of weeks is my Calm Down cardigan by Lily Kate Makes. The pattern was kindly gifted to me by the designer, and the yarn I bought at India Untangled last year. We didn't go this year, unfortunately. Now, looking back at the weekend, we could have tried to pack it in as well. But then also it was kind of nice to just spend the whole day, like start slowly, because we also had to pick up Hannah from the train station and then grab breakfast together, like kind of get a slow start. Even so, we still had to get up super early to drive up there anyway. So it was an early start, but then a slow start, and then just spent the entire day there. Like, it was the most chill day of the entire weekend. A Woollen Affair, great organization. I really enjoyed it. So yeah, India Untangled was great last year, and I would definitely go again in the future if I'm ever going back to Rhinebeck. But another tangent. Okay, let's get back to this. I got this at North Bay Fibers, and this is the Heritage Sport in the color Early Maple, which I think is just the perfect description of this color. I have maybe possibly knit about 4 rows too long for the section that I'm currently working on. I was at knit night with my knitting group yesterday on Sunday, and apparently I was kind of, not paying attention, and this was the only project I brought. So this has a really low and deep shoulder, and then I was supposed to do 16 centimeters here, about 50 rows I think, and I achieved this by this point. So I might just be ribbing back a couple of rows. I'll look into the pattern, because now I think there's another shaping aspect of the body that takes place to get this cute element of the like opening front. I think with short rows it must be. I have not read up until there yet, so I'm just assuming. But yeah, I have spent so much time on this, so it's already quite significant. I started this in a cow with one of my members who's also in my local knit night, which is fun. But she was very much faster than I was. While I was really focusing on my book club, still she was already starting. And so while she finished the project already, I think, and I hope to see it on her maybe tomorrow or in 2 days. Let's hope she'll come to knit night and present it to me, because she did buy the quilty buttons, so that will match perfectly. She also had like brownish rusty yarn, beautiful yarn. I realized that another one of my friends, Megan from Cat Knits, had also wanted to start this, and we realized this while chatting in the group, in a group chat with Chelsea, and that we still have from like Flock 2023. And so now I'm more so on like the same level with Megan. So I just like doing unofficial mini knit alongs with friends, just really chill, just checking in every couple of days or weeks, even if you're like busy, and just going like, how have you been finding this? Or just like trying to, I don't know, have like grab that extra bit of community out of a knitting project that I don't have another, like there's no other hobby that kind of gives you this feeling of being able to experience something with someone that is so like tactile and calming, and then also can have like so many different looking results. Like she's using a gray color and I'm using obviously like a burgundy, or like dark berry / early maple, that our versions will look totally different, but then we're knitting the same thing, and it'll be like a friendship cardigan. I just love doing mini cows. And yeah, this is my main whip. I've really been focusing on just knitting on one thing, because I cannot, like my bandwidth is just not there. One last baby whip, which again I have not worked on since maybe showing you this last time. I don't know if I've showed you this one. Is another gift knit DRK Everyday sock. This is the Cool Botanical Garden colorway from the Zauberball Crazy sock. And yeah, I've like done 10 centimeters of this. This was supposed to be my easy knitting, but then my cardigan was actually not that difficult and not that big. Most of the times I just went with that one for my, I don't know, 2 rows of lunch knitting that I usually get in on it. I would have gotten a couple more rows on this because less stitches, but yeah, seeing as this color reminds me 1000% of my mom. She doesn't watch the podcast, so it won't be a problem telling y'all this. But I already have a pair for her for Christmas, and I wanted to knit another pair for a friend, but this like is so my mom, like not as much my friend. Yeah, I've been staggering on this because I think you see my problem. She's already, like, I already have her Christmas socks done. I don't need to finish these. So yeah, I've not had as much motivation to get like more progress on this. So we'll see. Another tea break. And then we'll get into acquisitions, which will be everything for the rest of the vlog. I will mention like media favorites and all of that in my next episode, because I I think I would get overwhelmed trying to add those as well. So cheers. Okay, so I want to start with what I got at a Woolen Affair. If I like forget anything, I might just add it later on, like chronological order might be aspirational at this point, but yeah, I'll try and start with what I got at a Woolen Affair first. I saw their bandanas that they were selling with these beautiful sheep, and generally just like, I think this must be block printed or so, and so I did have to get one. I decided on the green because I thought that was most complementary to my wardrobe, and I wore this also on the trip. Really love this. This was around $25 if I'm not mistaken. I'll try and add these informations if I can remember, so you can kind of make up of like how much I spent. Obviously remember that I had to pay for the flights, for accommodation. We had an Airbnb at the venue and we spent another night in the city in a hotel. But thankfully my friend Chelsea took care of all the driving, so I didn't have to pay extra for gas, which was very kind of her. And yeah, my flights were about 700 euros. I don't know exactly how much in dollars that is. And accommodation was, we got reimbursed a bit because at the first night at the Airbnb, the heating didn't work. So we didn't spend as much as we initially thought we would, but it was relatively affordable and about a half an hour outside of Rhinebeck. So in Poughkeepsie we stayed, and yeah, I think it was about 200 per night for two people. So about 100 per night per person, dollars. And yeah, imagine all of that plus money for food and all of that, and then all I spent on shopping, which I calculated and told because my best friend was interested, and a lot of people were doing this TikTok trend where they're like, I did see this happening after Flock this year, where people went like, I'm Marlene and I'm gonna spend $300, and then people coming back after the festival and going like, I'm Marlene and I spend, I don't know, $500. I didn't have a particular budget. Like I didn't have a number in my head. I had a wish list and a couple of ideas. Like I didn't want to get more than one. I thought one sweater, one vest quantity, maybe one accessory skein, and otherwise focus more so on spinning fibers, one mug maybe, and maybe a new hat because I love my Junction Fiber Mill Farm hat. Sorry, that was a mouthful. And then maybe one project bag and one book I had on my list. So yeah, it wasn't too bad. I think I kind of stuck to it, and I spent about 500 euros on gifts for myself and gifts for others. I'm not going to include the gifts, I don't think, because all my friends who I'm going to gift things to are watching these videos. So they'll have to wait a couple more days. One friend I already saw and gave her gifts, so I don't have them anymore. And then my other friends I'm going to see this weekend, hopefully, like I said, upcoming trip. And so they'll have to wait because I know they're nosy. And yeah, this vlog might only come up when I'm with them, so I could add it, but yeah, I might just take a picture and add it to an upcoming podcast. It's not that important, but yeah, I got a couple of gifts. Yeah, gifts were maybe like $30, and then the rest of the 500 was just for me. Yeah, I got a lot of stuff. Please keep in mind that this is part of my job, so trying out new yarns, sharing about yarny travel. Having this podcast is kind of, I have to pay taxes on my income. So these are all things that I work with to create content. And so a lot of this is kind of tax deductible. So this is stuff that I work with, and it's not normal, or you shouldn't compare yourself to the amount, or if this is a lot or not as much to you if you've spent more, if you spend less. That's a very personal thing. I know everything's really expensive now. I'm very fortunate and happy to be able to now for some time being able to earn money with being a fiber content creator, which is a mouthful. And so a lot of what I earn with doing these things, with creating content, I put back into getting more inspiration and materials to work on this craft and hobby and part-time endeavor. So yeah, please keep this in mind. And also, I'm not trying to show off or like make anyone feel less about what they've purchased or whatever. Like, comparison is the thief of joy. And I hope you, if you don't like hauls, please just, I don't know, click away. It's not a problem, obviously, for me. I don't mind. If you don't think it's the right thing to watch right now, that's fine. But then also, I just love to see what everyone's got at the festival, what was on their agenda, like what they were looking for. And then, yeah, I also want to share my project plans. That is the most exciting thing about the whole thing. So that was a huge disclaimer that I kind of didn't plan on how to say all of these things, but they were in my heart and my mind. And so, yeah, that's what I really wanted to share. The next thing that I wanted to get, and the actual, like the only yarn that I wanted to purchase at Olin Fair, was this Lavender Loon Yarn Company Superwash Merino Yak and Linen DK weight yarn. In the color Flea Market. So I was looking for a skein of like a bright Marlene bright. Like, I know this is not bright for some people, but a color that would suit me, that I would like to wear. I was able to wear one of Chelsea's like bright green hats while we're at the beach, because I didn't bring a hat last year. It wasn't cold enough to wear one, but on the beach, the wind was actually so strong that it was quite cold, and we already looked like windswept rats most of the time. That's an insider. I'm not calling my friends rats. We were glamorous windswept rats, but yeah, hat was necessary. So she lent me hers, and I thought that to my usually very like earthy toned, neutral outfits, another kind of like accent hat would be great. Now that I'm looking at it, I wanted to get something that was non-superwash and worsted, and I got something superwash and DK, but I was just so, I don't know, zoned in on this color. I think this is great color for me. It reminds me of tomato soup, and it's called Flea Market. Those are two things I love. And then also I was chatting with some fiber friends while I was standing there, and we're talking about all kinds of things. And when I finally kind of turned around to pay for it, Margot, if you're watching, Margot, hi, I didn't forget your name. She did actually write it down on like a little Lavender Loon like company card because I made her. She was like, do you mind if I paid for that? And I was like, what do you mean? And she told me that she enjoys the podcast, but she rarely comments or felt like she wanted to give back. And I almost cried. Like, I was tearing up because I just felt she was so lovely. Teresa from Get Ben's Farm was also behind the counter helping out Lavender Loon, or like selling her own yarn. I'm not quite sure how it worked, but she was like, oh my God, that was so kind of that lady. She also got a sweater quantity of a beautiful color for herself. And yeah, so I wanted to pay for this, but they wouldn't let me. So thank you again, Margot. This is going to be a hat that I'll remember our interaction by forever. And yeah, it's just very special to me. Generally, going to the Lavender Loon booth was really nice because Emily of the Botanical Knitter, if you also watch her a ton, her podcast is one of my top 5 favorites. She doesn't shut up about them. Get Ben's Farm and Lavender Luna, like two of her favorite yarn and fiber companies. And so that was always stuck in the back of my mind, and I knew that I wanted to check out their yarns whenever I saw them. And so Emily was an enabler, and then Margot was just so kind and generous. So thank you for that. That was actually the only yarn that I got on that day, but I purchased another big one, another brand that I wanted to support for a while, and that I've heard about through my friend Anna from the Brookwillow podcast, is off June. And this is a shawl-sized project bag that I saw, and I knew like this was so Marlene coded. So I don't know, colors I love, the aubergine, the like mustard, the rust, the dark brown, the olive, just all colors I love. It has a really like a very neutral bag. This was $65, and yeah, it was really nice to meet Janine of June. And yeah, I've subscribed to her newsletter after seeing her project bags in Anna's podcast a while back, and I never wanted to pay for shipping from the US, and there wasn't ever like one particular project bag that just screamed my name and was like, take me home, I'm yours. And this one did. So I left it with her, did another round, was like, if it's still there when I come back around like all of the booths, I'll get it. And it was still there. And I was, annoying my friends with like contemplating if I should get this or not. And then eventually I just did. So thanks for putting up with me, Hannah and Chelsea. But yeah, I think generally we had a great system of trying to help out each other with purchases, and like figuring out if we were getting something or not, and like coming back to booths that we had previously looked at and weren't like sure about. But yeah, the next thing that I got so kindly gifted by another person that watches the podcast, and she actually told me that it helped her skein all the braids that she had in the booth. She was so lovely. She gave me the best hug. And so I went into the Sanctuary Fibers booth, a New York State grown and certified rambouillet. She had different other kinds of fiber, I think different sorts of sheep fiber, but also yarn. And the booth was extremely cute. Like the whole setup was really cute. And I loved chatting with her. I didn't get her name, unfortunately. And also like I am not good with names. Might have been Helen or something like that. But she also doesn't have it in her Instagram page. And so when I was looking for the company and followed her back on socials, I still didn't grab the name. So if you're watching, please let me know your name so I can kind of attach my thankful memories to a name, because I forgot and I am sorry. I'm not good with names. So yeah, this is the Safe Haven spinning fiber. And like I said, I saw this and I was like, okay, this screams me. I didn't even see it in the beginning because she had some beautiful like spinning fiber in the front, but this one she had like kind of tucked away in the back, and she insisted on giving this to me. I felt really seen because this colorway is just beautiful, and I will love it and cherish it and spin it up and possibly make something for myself with it, maybe like a contrasting color work or a cowl. Again, I love hand spun cowls, and yeah, it's just beautiful colors. So yeah, next up I got some stuff from Sarah at Golden Earth Designs. I got this little trinket, which I just love trinkets. This has a quilt star, as you can see, And I thought this was either nice for the kitchen to hold like a spatula when I'm cooking and I want to rest it, though I already have something like that, but I could kind of rotate them, and the other one isn't handmade, so this one wins. And yeah, this was $15. And then I got a sheep mug. Finally got a sheep mug. Last year I decided on a quilty mug. This year I got the sheep mug, and it's smaller as well, which I quite like. This size for me is a teacup size. This size for me is more so a coffee cappuccino, or like black coffee, Americano. I usually need even smaller cups. So I have a couple of different sizes. So if I just do an espresso and like put some hot water on it, i.e. an Americano, I need the smaller cups. This is more so for my cappuccinos. And then tea, I like to make huge amount of. I need the big size. This was around $60, and Sarah kindly gifted me, because I at one point came back in with Hannah because she wanted to look at the mugs, and I saw this sticker and was like, oh, why didn't I get this before? And Sarah kindly gifted it to me. So yeah, this was everything that I got on day one of the Rhinebeck weekend at Wilderness Fair. Couple of gifts, couple of things that I spent my own money on. I was so happy with my day one purchases. So happy. And I also felt really good about not getting a ton of yarn. There were so many different booths, so much great yarn, so many things. A couple of things that I fell in love with but didn't get, like a woven pennant. I love pennants, and a woven like one in my colors. Like it was this kind of color scheme, which was just beautiful. But I didn't, and this was my rule, kind of I need to have a project in mind for yarn, and I need to have a space in mind in our home if it's a decorative piece. Something like this, I can always find more room because I can always put it somewhere and just like put stitch markers. Like I said, a spatula. I can put my, because I usually put all of my jewelry in like on these kinds of trinkets. And this doesn't take up a lot of space, but the pennant was like this big, and I really don't have any space left in my entire flat, in our entire flat, to put anything on the walls right now. So with the huge like wall hanging quilt that I made recently, that takes up a lot of space, and we do have a lot of art on the wall. So yeah, I had to leave it, but I am still thinking about it. So if I ever see them again and they have something similar, I might definitely grab something from their booth, because they had amazing handwoven stuff. So going back, okay, day one of Rhinebeck proper. Gonna firstly show you the gifts that I got because they're close by. If you've been seeing my beautiful friendship bracelet I got from Maggie. Maggie came to my meetup that I had on the hill, like on top of the hill. I was just going like, if anyone wants to meet up, I'll be there on this particular time spot. And a couple of people came. That was fantastic to be able to meet everyone who was there, but then I also obviously came with friends who then met friends, and then we met other friends, so it was just nice to have kind of a lunch time break, like around lunchtime. We're still full from breakfast because we had quite like late and big breakfast, so we only had our Brussels sprouts after the meetup. But yeah, that was so nice, and Maggie brought a couple of gifts for me, which she did not have to do, but she apparently wanted to, so thank you again so much, Maggie. She also wrote me a letter, which I won't be sharing, but that meant just about everything to me, because yeah, that's really special. So okay, this is my friendship bracelet from Maggie. It's like glass pearls, perfect, with little tulips, and I love all the colors, and I've been pretty much non-stop wearing it ever since Rhinebeck. She also put a New England Farm and Fiber cap in here in like a really classic kind of grayish olive color, which I think will be another perfect running cap, because I always need more caps to like do outdoorsy stuff with. And it says Yarny in the back, which I love. And yeah, she apparently, if I'm not mistaken, she volunteered at the festival. So thank you so much. She knew that I loved hats. And then the third thing, next to her really sweet message, she gave me a pack of the Hello Yarn Fiber Club, which was like, I could not get over this because I've always wanted to try Hello Yarn, and this is just the most perfect. I don't know if you can see this because of the glare, but like, these colors are so perfect. And so I have actually been thinking about combining these. Not sure if I mentioned this on here, but I really want to make a jaunty, I think jaunty, the new brioche shawl by Andrea Maury. Bought the pattern right away when it dropped, but I want to do a hand-spun version, and so I didn't get any. Oh, I did get some, but I didn't get any hand-dyed fiber, which was on my wish list, but I just got it gifted. So thank you again so much. And to Maggie, you didn't have to do that. But I'm, so grateful. So yeah, I have an idea of maybe kind of combining these two projects. So it'll be my, like a community shawl for Rhinebeck 2025. That'd be nice. Another gift that I got from my friend Chelsea, because she and Hannah, when I was in one of the booths and I was taking a bit longer, and they were like, we want to get to the merch. We'll see you in like a couple of minutes. Like, we'll see you in 20 minutes. And we wanted to get back together. And they got a sticker for me. Chelsea got me a sticker. I didn't ask them to, but they were so considerate and thought of me. And I thought that was really, really sweet. I thought the design for this year was really cute. And I also voted for my favorite design for next year again, which I think I saw before. They were like sheeps dressed up as farmers, which I thought was funny, and I quite liked the look of that. So that I voted for next year. And I always think it's a nice thing to have this community voting for the art for the next year. And okay, so more yarn I have in this basket. I wanted to get, because this was one of the things that I photographed in 2024 and I didn't get at the time, was this Finn roving from, I think it's Boondoggle Farms. It's just a beautiful kind of like light brownish color. Again, could be any type of accessory. I've not been thinking about what I want to use my handspun for as much recently, because now I'm focused on Laura's sweater quantity of yarn that I need or I want to spin. I started to separate the braids and pre-draft them today, so I won't be getting into any of these things like soon-ish anyways. So I just remember taking this picture of this beautiful fin and not getting it when I was there last. So I really, really wanted to get it this year, and this was $30. My first sweater quantity of the weekend I got on Saturday, and I think the other two I got on Sunday. So my first sweater quantity, I want to preface these sweater quantity acquisitions by saying that I had my shop yarn for Ravelry bundle, which is how I organize it's my wish list on what patterns I would ideally want to purchase yarn for. And then when I'm at the festival, it's just easier to kind of envision projects when I do find yarn that I love. But this year, for some reason, I was very inspired by my own ideas and like the list that I made prior to going to the event, but I mostly only got yarn for projects that I saw out and about. So with this, firstly, this yarn I was introduced to by my friend Hannah because she wanted to go to the, I think it's called Prada de Lana or Prado de Lana. I do not speak Spanish or any other language for that matter. So Prado de Lana. I probably sound really bad while saying that, but this is the queso, the Criollo queso, and it's unspun yarn from wool of the Native American Criollo sheep. This yarn is creates a lofty and lightweight garment or accessory, and this was $16 per kind of cake. I got 6 of these. I will probably be fine with 5, but I just didn't want to risk it and not be able to get any more of the yarn. I will be making a Miles shirt jacket with this. The Miles shirt jacket is like such a classic design, been around for years, has always been in my favorites, but never like went out like to the top of my list. Nora of AKA Nora. Yeah, I wanted to say AKA Nora is knitting, but she is knitting, but I don't think it's in the name. So Nora, I also met for the first time during this trip, and it was lovely to chat with her. And she had just knit this pattern. And so I looked on my list. My friend Hannah told me about this yarn. It was the only hand spun we can find. This color, I think, is perfect for like a jacket type of thing. Hannah actually bought another, like also a sweater quantity of this. So we'll have kind of matching knits, even though she's knitting a different pattern. And I'll have matching knits in the pattern, but not the yarn with Nora. So I don't know. I just felt very inspired. Don't you ever feel like you have patterns that you kind of like the look of, but you need to see an actual person with an actual body and an actual personal style rock it and like wear it to be like, yeah, I want to make that. So that happened, and I'm very happy with this. I'm going to hold it double. It's actually already like on the cakes double, and it's a lot softer than, for example, Plutolopi, which we do sell at the shop. So this kind of totaled at about around $80, which is much more expensive than a Plutolopi version of this cardigan would have been for me. But Plutolopi is also much more scratchy and like rustic, which is fine, but yeah, I'm quite happy my version will be a bit softer. And I think the designer originally used the Mantelopes, which is similar, and I don't really know if it or how it compares in price. But even if this is like $20 or $30 more expensive, this has a story, and it's a yarn I bought on a trip, and I do still have quite a bit of yarn I bought on trips in stash, but I'll knit through it in the coming years, and I'll always remember the trips by them, like the projects, and yeah, I just love that. Okay, continuing, because we're almost on the like home stretch. I had to go back to Mabel because Mabel is one of my favorite booths at the New York Sheep and Wool Festival. Also, Paige is one of my favorite people to follow on social media because she does marketing. She markets her own stuff so well. She is just such a bubbly and, I don't know, like sweet person. I love meeting her. I love meeting her again this year, but because I got my Mabel bag last year, which is holding a long-term a long-term blanket whip, which I'll finish till the end of this year, I promise, and then that one will become a sweater project bag. I did think a Christmas stocking would be a great option to get. This is very bright in color, which is nice in the general, like more so toned downness of the flat, and very I thought very holiday like, very jolly, if you might want to call it that. I don't know. This was $45, and yeah, I got this on the Saturday as well. It has a beautiful back as well. So I left all the beautiful project bags that she had there. I didn't get any more project bags because I got the one from off June. But I obviously also had to go back to Holland Hoof. As I mentioned before, I love them. And I had an idea, another idea that was a co-creation of my shopping list and a person that I met and their final finished object. So I met Kat of the Thriving 20s, who I've been following on Instagram for, I don't know, a couple of years. She's also knitting, but the reason I follow her, and I don't know how I found her there, but I must have one day stumbled over her profile and I just loved her photography. Like, she's also an outdoorsy person. She loves to, I think, hike and camp and be in the mountains. And she lives, I think, in Washington, like in Seattle, maybe close to Seattle. I'm not sure. I don't like this is the first time we met, but I've been following her for a while and I really loved her Instagram profile. And I told her this. She was traveling with Knit Weekend, Haley, who I've also not been able to meet before. So this was nice meeting her for the first time. You might know her knitting podcast on here, like I said, Knit Weekend. And so they were traveling together and I told Kat how much I enjoyed her photography. And then I saw what she was wearing and I'm like, is this the Pelica vest? And she's like, yes, it is. I'm planning on making a second one. I love this finished object so much. And on my second look, I saw that she had the most fun chicken buttons on her Pelica vest. Pelica vest is a design by Retrosaria Rosa Pomar, a Portuguese designer and yarn brand that you will know. I just got one of their designs tattooed on my arm, which is another story that I'll share more about when when it's fully healed. Currently, I still have a second skin on it, and it's still very raw and new. But yeah, I just loved her version so much. So I'll obviously include pictures of that. And yeah, like I said, I also had the Pelica vest on my to shop list. And by seeing her version, I immediately was like, okay, I need fun buttons for this project. I need great yarn for it and I need fun buttons. So I'm pretty sure the buttons came before the yarn. And I went back to Holland Hoof and I got the whole farm of animals. So firstly, I fell in love with these ducks, which are so cute. And then I really loved the cows and the sheep. But then I kind of felt like I needed a bit more color to add to this. And I saw the little piggies. I spent much more time and money that I care to admit in this booth. I also got a couple of buttons to give to a friend there. And yeah, I will have a couple of buttons left over, which hopefully in the future will go to another project. I'm thinking like a baby jacket for someone's kid. So yeah, I love them. So yeah, I saw Kat's version, was like, okay, I'm gonna knit that, but I'm gonna go the extra mile of adding not just one particular farm animal, but the whole farm. So yeah, we'll be matching, Kat. Yeah, so that was very inspirational, obviously, the booth, the conversation, the pattern, but then I still needed to get yarn for it. And so these will be my last purchases. I hope I don't forget anything, but yeah, I did then, after getting these buttons, really wanted to get to, no, this is not my last purchase. I also have another thing that I got. So I always say this is the last thing and then another thing pops up, but this is my last yarny purchase. I've wanted to get something from Harrisville Designs for a while, and when I saw that they would be vending the event, I put them on my list, in my mind, but not on my actual list, because I didn't really have an actual list. This time I wasn't as prepared. I didn't have such a meticulous list than I had the year prior, because it was my first time. I wasn't as like new to this, but I had like a tab open on my phone for a while, actually of the Highland, like the orange color of the Highland wool. But I got a couple of other things, and I got this bag because I spent over $100. Yeah, at the Holland Hoof, by the way, I spent about $60. But yeah, part of that was a gift. And these were, yeah, I'm going to be able to use for 2 projects and then a gift. So I thought they are fairly priced for the artistry, for the craftsmanship that's in them. I think they're very much fairly priced. But yeah, at Harrisville, I got yarn for 2 projects. Partly inspired because of you get the bag if you spend over 100, and partly because I really fell in love with 2 different yarns. This one I chose for my Pelica vest, which I think will go perfectly with my buttons. Let me see. It's not as easy to show these. Okay, I'm losing buttons now. So yeah, I got 6 of the Watershed in the color Spoonwood. So if you don't know about Harrisville, they have all woolen spun yarns, and as far as I know, it's all with American fibers and also American spun. So this is pure virgin wool. It doesn't like say any specific breed in particular, but it's a beautiful green color. And then I really wanted to get the Peace Fleece, but I didn't think they had any of the colors that I was looking at and I loved in stock at the time at the booth anymore. And obviously I didn't want to get it shipped. So I was looking at the sheer, which is a natural undyed yarn, a merino Dorset, from Ohio and New Hampshire. And yeah, like I said, spun in New Hampshire, and this is an Aran weight. And I actually was able to touch and look at a sweater that was made in this fiber. And another thing on my kind of to knit list, and then actually ran into a couple more of you guys later on, Tamara and Rachel, who were knitting on one of my options for this yarn. So I'll mention that in just a couple of minutes. Yeah, so I was trying to get enough for my kind of Rory Gilmore sweater. So a chunky fisherman's type of sweater. I got 8. I won't be able to hold all 8 without kind of obstructing the mic and yeah, making a mess. But yeah, I got 8, which is I think somewhere around the 1,600 meter kind of bracket. And I was looking at the patterns and chatting with people. The people in this booth were so extremely helpful. They were great. Like, they had great organization with getting the yarn. I didn't initially understand it like 100%, but you had to kind of make an order, and then they were taking it to the back and they were getting the yarn for you, which I thought was great. And so yeah, my 2 options I had in mind at the time that was purchasing the yarn, now I think I've kind of made up my mind already, were the Serena sweater by, see, now I don't even know the designer of that one anymore because I think I kind of decided against it, but I'll look it up so I can, because I will put in a picture, and I think it is beautiful. This is actually the one design that looks really similar to the actual Rory Gilmore sweater. Yeah, it's Cookie the Knitter. I thought it was, and I had tested it for her before, so yeah, I was curious to see another one of her patterns. It looks beautiful, and there might be another like actual Rory Gilmore dupe sweater that is free on Ravelry. I saw it recently, but yeah, the one that has actually captured my attention, and that I have chosen firstly because, like I said, 2 lovely fiber friends were also knitting it. People I think Tamara I had met like the year or 2 years prior, or maybe even like before at vlog. I don't know where we'd met, but we were following each other on Instagram for a while. And then her and Rachel, her friend Rachel, they're also featured in the podcast because we had a great chat. We're stopping traffic. It was really fun. They were both there with their partners, and it was really lovely chatting with them. And they had both been or had cast on and knitting on the Freya sweater by Ingrid Dibb. And that was like my second contender. So with kind of going with the theme of knitting stuff that I had in mind, but then got inspired by actual people and their actual knits, I'm going to go with that one. But then also I think I kind of prefer the cables that pattern uses. I really, really love the look of the patterns that, like the cables that I used in that pattern. One thing I don't majorly care for though is the very, very wide arms, and I'm gonna just do decreases there because it does look like she doesn't do any decreases at all. And yeah, I think I prefer for myself personally a bit of a little bit less of a huge sleeve. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. I spent about $150, which is like 135 euros in the Harris Wool booth, which I don't think is too bad for like a big sweater and like a regular sized vest quantity. At least not in comparison to a lot of the other yarns that I saw. It buys into like my current and for the last 1 or 2 years focus of knitting more so with like a bit more rustic fibers, with farm yarns, with just general like regular yarns like the Peer Gynt and all of those for garments, more so than using hand-dyed yarn for garments, which is just something I've seen within my own taste has changed. So yeah, these were the last yarny purchases. So the patterns I've actually put on my wish list on Ravelry, so I'll just see if anyone's like inclined. Obviously no one, like it's not necessary, I can pay for them myself, but if you ever wanted to, I don't know, let me know that you love the podcast. That is a great way to support the podcast, but by no means necessary. I will purchase them myself when it's time to knit them. But yeah, those 3 patterns have made their way up to my list. I'm thinking for like maybe casting one of those on a bit more closer to date. Maybe the Pelica vest will kind of make its way into my winter knitting plans. I'm currently still trying to finish my seventh project for my Make 9, and then I still have 2 accessories left over, which I will have to see if I make them. I did want to make 2 Christmas sweaters, so right now I don't really have any time and capacity to be casting on more stuff, so this will all kind of be taken into the next year. I will be cleaning up my queue because that one, like, it's crazy. I have over 60 projects that I want to make in my queue right now, which is just, I've not cleaned that up in a while. I will do that at the end of the year, I think, and I will film it. I will tell you all about how I will structure my planning for the next year, because I will do that a bit differently. But let me just show you the last couple of things that I got. I did get one of the books that I had on my wish list, which is The Vanishing Fleece by Clara Parks. I really enjoyed her book on stash. I read that and I really thoroughly enjoyed that, so I got this one. I also wanted to get the one by Nicole Nearing, the one about weaving their own stories. I'm not particularly 100% sure about the name. I had talked to the publisher and they offered to send me a copy for like PR purposes, but it never arrived, unfortunately. I sent them my friend's address in the US because she was so kind and kind of hold on to a couple of parcels for me while, like, before I came there, but unfortunately it did never arrive. So, and I didn't know that she was literally there selling the book, like giving autographs to people who bought the book. And if I had known that, like, that is my only regret, I think, purchasing wise. And other than that, I don't really have any regrets. I really would have loved to get that book and also get it signed by her, because I really want to read that, but I can still get it in the future. And then the one thing that I got and brought for Hannes and I to enjoy, because we both love anything maple, were these maple heart drops. Funnily enough, they, like, something similar to this was in my thread and maple package that they sent to me kindly when we collaborated recently. And I just love, like, I know sucking on it sounds weird, but yeah, it's like hard candy. And I really enjoyed eating that. Like, I enjoyed it. And so I got a couple more for Hannes and I to enjoy. And I have come to the end of my pretty big Rhinebeck haul. I hope you enjoyed seeing all these things. Let me know if you have made any of these projects. Next episode, I hopefully will have some more progress on my Calm Down cardigan. I will have some spinning updates on Laura of the Tiny Humanists podcast sweater spin, because I want to, now that Rhinebeck is done, I want to get ahead on spinning that sweater quantity. Ideally, setting my goal, I want to have it done by the end of January. She's telling me she wants to try and get the quilt done by Christmas, and she told me that there's no rush to finish the sweater quantity in the same amount of time, because the fiber that she bought the fiber, dyed the fiber, and then sent it to me, and I gave her the money for that, because I mean, imagine being able to dye your own fiber. Obviously, she wanted to do that. So, and I'm going to spin that for her. And she has had a couple more months to start on the quilt already. So it's not a race where it's not about finishing first, but I'll probably won't finish first. But I really want to get done. I really want to get started now. So that'll be nice. Let me know if there's any particular, like, favorite thing that I've shown in this vlog. Leave a comment if we've met each other at the Rhinebeck weekend, and say hi, because I loved meeting everyone. It's always such a joy. Let me know if you've been to a yarn festival before and your favorite aspect of it, if you're working on something in particular. Also, I don't know, just leave me a comment. Let's chat in the comment section down below. If you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing. It's free and it means the world to me. I really enjoyed sitting down today and getting kind of one last overview of all the things I got before putting them into my stash. They've been out and about the living room for the rest of the week. I did a show and tell for my partner and for my best friend already, so I've kind of done this a couple times before, not in English, obviously. But yeah, I was so happy to be able to wear my cardigan to Rhinebeck. And if you've not seen my vlog about the experience, you can try and go watch this. Maybe I'll link it somewhere here. I don't know. But yeah, obviously Rhinebeck's not just about purchasing, it's also about the purchasing, because I know I just supported many small businesses that are doing great stuff with the money that I spent there. But then also, obviously, meeting everyone was the most enjoyable thing. I also went to my first sheep shearing ever. Didn't make it to Leap and Llamas this year, but therefore that was one of the goals. I wanted to see a sheep getting sheared, and I did, and that was fantastic. And we had the sprouts, which were so expensive, so I'm actually making sprouts tonight for dinner, because I want to show the world that you can make. I want to show myself, basically, that I didn't have to spend $15 on sprouts. But yeah, sprouts were perfect. Apple cider donuts were perfect. Thanks again for watching. I'm sorry it's always it takes me a couple of minutes to actually say goodbye, because I find it very hard. I don't know about you, but yeah. I hope you enjoy your day. I hope you're taking care of yourselves and the people around you, and you're getting some sort of inspiration or, I don't know, just fulfillment from the projects you're currently working on. And I'll see you in the next episode. Bye, guys.